Hey guys, it's Robj here, just to let you know that this video is sponsored by Keeping Depot, supporting the channel. In today's video we've got a new product from WaKooshi. This is actually their Venus nest. And basically the Venus nest is a test tube based setup. So it's got 3 test tubes inside, 2 for housing ants and 1 for housing a large water supply. It also, basically the unit, encapsulates the 3 test tubes, adds a mini outworld, gives it stability and portability, as well as a red acrylic overlay and shade. We also get, on the red acrylic overlay, a water level viewing window, although you can still see through the red as well. You also get a twist lock outworld lid, so there's a little point on it and you've got to match it up with the little divot there, and that's how the unit goes in. Any sort of twist, it'll be locked basically. The mini outworld's access window is adequate. It's not as good as it could be. I would like a little bit bigger, but it certainly fits the bill. And as you saw there, once twisted, that is fully locked. That's not coming off. To unlock it, line it up with the notch and out it comes. Back in with the notch and twist any direction, locked. Can't pop off, be pushed off or anything like that. Now let's have a look around the exterior of the unit. So pretty much the only thing to talk about around the exterior is this little divot or markings. This is actually an optional heat cable tunnel with simply a pair of pliers, tweezers, something that's not going to bend too easily. You can just work these little spacers out, and that's designed to take a 4mm heat cable.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Oh, we have an escapee. Trust it to be the smallest ants I actually have. How it's got this far away from their setup, or how it got out, and how it's the only one, couldn't tell you. Let's sweep her up and put her back in. Okay, now we're back to it. So as I was saying, this is designed for a 4mm heat cable. Mine's a bit bigger, so it sits slightly off the ground because of that, but it certainly doesn't bother me and allows the heat cable to be much closer to the test tubes inside than just sitting it on top of one. So let's take a look at the Outworld connection port. So essentially these 3 holes. The smallest hole is for an 80% water test tube, and the 2 bigger holes are for a 40% test tube for the ants to live in. They're basically pressed in from the bottom and they're snugly seated into rings at the top. So I reckon that I should set it up, show you how easy it is to set up and get it ready for ants. It includes everything to get you going, apart from decoration sand, which you can buy at the shop for a small additional price. So basically to remove them, you basically push them from the bottom and then take them out of their seated position at the top. It's really easy. It is essentially push fit, the whole lot. In fact, the entire Outworld is push fit, and it's going to be easy for cleaning because of this. So once they're out, we actually get a good view of their seating position. So the test tube actually fits into these larger rings before the holes. And you've got to make sure when you're putting the test tubes in that they're fully seated into there before you press lock the bottom. But I'll get to that when I do it myself. So we have 3 test tubes. Like I said before, we need an 80% water and 2 40% waters. So the 80% water is primary drinking source, and the 2 40% water test tubes are living accommodations. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the 80% first. This matches up to the smallest hole. And I'm just going to go ahead and set up a test tube. I'm presuming everybody knows how to do a test tube here, but I'm just going to show you anyway. It's super easy and it's all included as well. as the cotton wool. So there we go, roughly around 80% of the test tube is water, leaving a 20% access. Now, I filled the water up to about 40% or just below halfway. And then I'm just going to insert some cotton buds at around the right levels to create two 40% water test tubes, or what I would consider a standard test tube setup. This is where we're going to be housing them, and these go to the two larger holes. The two larger holes aren't the exact same size because that creates a bit more ventilation, so there's a humidity gradient between the two housing test tubes. The ants can pick by what stage their young are at where they want to keep them out of the two livable test tubes. So fitting it, make sure it's fully into the ring at the top, and it should be an easy push fit. If you're feeling way too much pressure, make sure you've seated it into the housing at the top. You want to make sure, like here, that I don't think that was in, so I'll just give it a little twist and a fiddle, and there you go. You see it pops in without having to force it. If you force it, you could possibly not be seated properly and crack it. But it is super easy, so it shouldn't take much force at all as long as it's all in correctly. So as you see, the smallest hole has the 80% and the other two test tubes have the larger size. Now, the Outworld. This is optional, you don't need substrate. If you've seen from my other videos, substrate is not required, but I'm going to include it in this one because it was also sent out to me. This is their WaKooshi's red sand. I actually love red sand, especially like the Australian look. Ooh, I like it. So they actually make some water dishes, like mini feeding dishes, that are perfect for this mini Outworld. If you would like to grab some of them, otherwise anything small you can get in. And that's the unit fully assembled, ready to go. Pop the red acrylic back on top, put it on a heat cable, done. In future, they're even going to have a racking system with carry handles. So you can do all sorts of different things, and say you've got a really small species that doesn't need large test tubes, they're actually bringing out a mini Venus as well. That's to come, and I hope you've enjoyed the video review of the Venus nest by WaKooshi, and it's out now on their website. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the content, give me a like or a subscribe. It's always appreciated. Thank you guys.